Now, shifting focus to India, we have recently seen important trade developments with both EU and the US. How meaningful are these trade agreements in your view? Can they structurally improve India's export competitiveness and growth trajectory?
So Sonal, I think it's important to step back and understand the kind of world that we live in today. For many years, I would say going back to the 1990s, we first had the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, followed by the WTO. Now, what GATT and WTO did is they created a set of rules by which major countries govern their trade and tariff policy. And as a result, everybody did their best to keep their trade policy largely compliant with GATT rules or later on with the WTO rules. But we have effectively seen a breakdown of this multilateral system of trade, which has persisted for almost 30 years. And as a result of that, it is now becoming more and more important to have bilateral deals between large economies. India has, of course, been doing a lot of these. We did an agreement with Australia, with New Zealand, with the EFTA, which is a group of European nations. We have also done one with the UAE. And of course, this deal with the EU is quite significant. It's significant for the simple reason that the EU is actually India's single largest trading partner. So that makes this deal very, very important. Now, if you look at the share of European imports from India on the right hand side, you'll see that it is very, very low. Whereas the share of European imports from China is very high. Now, obviously, as a result of this trade agreement between India and Europe, there will be an advantage for Indian exporters that they will hopefully be able to take advantage of. And I do think in some of the sectors, Indian exporters will be able to seize this advantage and they will be able to grow. But at the same time, remember the benefit of a free trade agreement actually accrues to competent companies or competent exporters on in both geographies. So I would also submit that certainly there will be benefits to some of the European, economic constituents, be it companies or exporters, who may now be able to export to India more competitively than before. But I think that is in India's interest to create these bilateral agreements where we can have a preferential system, and that is what this deal offers. And because this is India's single largest trading partner, I think this is a very major milestone. It also reflects a change in thought process with India, and full credit to the government for getting this executed. This has been in the works and discussion for almost 20 years, but full credit that we were able to get this executed. Um, we can also look at the next slide. I think this talks about the India US trade deal. I would just say two things over here as far as this US India trade deal is concerned. One, remember when the reciprocal tariffs were announced and when the subsequent additional tariff because we were buying Russian crude was announced, what we said is that look, the actual Indian exports to the US are quite limited, at least in terms of the tariffs, or rather the goods which are subject to tariffs. So the negative impact on the economy will not be too high. Now that we have moved from a situation where there is a disagreement with the US, we have managed to move that to the side. We have reached some sort of agreement with the US. The tariff disadvantage is no longer as significant as it used to be. But as you can see on the left hand side, we are sitting somewhere in the middle, and all the competitor economies, or at least some of them, are 1-2% this side, that side. So I would say there is no relative disadvantage with peers, but it is not like we have reached a particularly, advantageous trade transaction. But the important thing is, given the US economy's disproportionate size, given the fact that, they are the dominant global superpower when it comes to policy issues, including defense and foreign affairs, and given the fact that they are such a major digital power, it was very important for India to be able to put this disagreement to the side. So I think just being able to move this disagreement to the side, to my opinion, would really be a positive development for India. How much it will actually result in incremental growth growth or in terms of incremental benefit to the economy, we will have to see. Effectively, the agreement moves the tariffs back to where we were in April 2025 when the reciprocal tariffs were announced. So, in a way, I would say it is a decent outcome in what was a relatively tough situation. And we have moved away from being in a stalemate situation. That is the good news.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.